When you stop running after it, the universe begins to run toward you. That is not poetry. That is a law as precise as gravity, but it belongs to a higher dimension of being. You have been taught all your life to chase, to seek, to desire. From the moment you could walk, they taught you to run. Run after success, after love, after enlightenment, after God. And yet the more you run, the farther everything seems to go. Have you noticed? The faster you chase happiness, the faster it disappears. The more desperately you seek peace, the more restless you become. When you stop running, the whole universe begins to move toward you. This is not magic, this is understanding. Because in your running, in your endless search, you are saying one thing very clearly: I don't have it. And the universe listens. It mirrors you. It gives you exactly what you are. Not what you ask for, but what you are. If you are a beggar, begging for joy, you remain a beggar. If you are a seeker, always seeking truth, truth will forever remain something apart from you. I have watched people meditate for years, sitting, breathing, chanting, and yet, deep down, their meditation is nothing but another form of ambition. They are still chasing. The goal has changed, but the psychology remains the same. Now they are chasing God instead of money, nirvana instead of fame, but it is the same disease. They have not understood the secret, that the moment you stop, that very stopping becomes the door. You see, the universe is not against you. It has never been. You are not fighting the universe. You are fighting yourself. The running is not physical. It is psychological. It is the restlessness inside that believes fulfillment is somewhere else, someone else, some other time. And this restlessness keeps you blind. You run so fast that you cannot see what is already here. Try to understand this. Everything you are seeking is already vibrating within you, but your eyes are turned outward. You are like a man standing in front of the ocean, dying of thirst, holding a bucket and asking the waves to come closer. The ocean does not move. It is you who must stop and bend down. When I say stop running, I am not telling you to be lazy or passive. I am not preaching resignation. I am talking about awareness. I am saying, stop that inner fever of becoming. Stop that constant tension that says, I must get there. Where? Have you ever asked yourself where you're trying to get and what will happen when you arrive? Will the mind suddenly become silent? It never does, because the mind survives only through movement, through goals, through dreams. The moment you stop, the mind feels it is dying. That is why stopping is so frightening to you. You feel empty, lost, without direction. But that emptiness is not your enemy. It is your door. When you stop, the old patterns of desire fall away. The dust settles, and for the first time you can see what is. In that stillness, something miraculous begins to happen. You begin to feel life flowing toward you, not because you asked, not because you deserved, but simply because you are open. When the chaser disappears, the chased reveals itself. When the seeker dissolves, the sought stands naked before you. And I tell you, this is the secret of the universe. The moment you stop demanding, existence begins to give. The moment you stop asking, life starts answering. Because now you are no longer a beggar, you are a participant. You are no longer chasing the divine. You are part of it. But your whole conditioning is against this truth. You have been taught that effort is everything. You have been told that to achieve anything, you must struggle, compete, sacrifice. You have been poisoned with the idea that rest is death. So you go on chasing even when you don't know what you are chasing. And that chase gives you an illusion of purpose. Without the chase, you feel meaningless. So I am asking you to face a terrifying truth. Meaning cannot be found through chasing. Meaning arises only when the chase ends. When the runner disappears, what remains is silence, alive, luminous, overflowing. Can you stop even for a moment? Can you sit without expecting anything to happen? That is meditation. Not a technique, not a ritual, but a rebellion against the constant movement of the mind. Sit silently and do nothing, and you will see, slowly, the universe begins to dance around you. Birds sing differently. The wind feels closer. Existence starts to communicate. It is not that the universe suddenly changes. It has always been ready to come to you. You were simply too noisy to hear its footsteps. When you stop running after it, the universe begins to run toward you, because now you have become one with its rhythm. The river flows to the ocean not because it tries, but because it surrenders. You too must learn the art of surrender. Now pause for a moment. Feel these words not in your mind, but in your breath. Let this truth echo inside you. All your life you have been running for love, for recognition, for peace, and yet everything you were running toward was already waiting quietly behind you. You see, the tragedy is not that people are suffering. The tragedy is that they suffer needlessly, because they are running toward what they already have. You are like a man chasing his own shadow. The faster you move, the faster it escapes. You cannot catch it, because you are the one creating the distance. Every desire is a distance, every goal is a wall, and every time you say, "I want," you are declaring to existence, "I am incomplete." That very feeling of incompleteness is the wound humanity carries. From it, all ambition is born. You want to be rich because you feel poor inside. You want to be loved because you do not love yourself. You want to be enlightened because you feel lost in darkness. And so you run, hoping that somewhere, something will fill the hole within you. But the hole is not in existence. It is in your perception. I tell you, the universe is not denying you anything. It cannot. It has already given you everything. But you are too busy running to notice the gift. You are constantly looking over the horizon, never realizing that the treasure you are seeking is buried beneath your own feet. That is why I say, stop. Not because there is nothing to do, but because everything that truly matters happens in the stillness. The flower blooms not by effort, but by allowing. The stars do not compete to shine, they simply exist. Existence knows how to unfold when you are not interfering. But the human mind is a great interferer. It cannot trust life. It must control, manipulate, plan, demand. You have been trained to believe that surrender means defeat. You think if you stop chasing, life will leave you behind. But look carefully. Has all your chasing really brought you closer to peace? You may have achieved many things, status, possessions, relationships, but are you fulfilled, or are you just occupied? Your busyness has become your escape. You run to avoid yourself. Because when you stop, when the noise settles, when there is nothing to do, suddenly you face the most uncomfortable truth. You don't know who you are. That is the real reason you keep running. You are terrified of meeting yourself. When you stop, the masks fall. The roles disappear. You are naked before existence. No titles, no achievements, no comparisons, just being. And that nakedness is unbearable at first. You feel exposed, vulnerable. You have spent your whole life building identities to protect yourself from that raw encounter with yourself. But remember, it is only in that nakedness that love becomes possible. It is only in that vulnerability that grace enters. When you stop hiding behind your pursuits, you create space for life to enter you. I have seen seekers come to me saying, "Osho, I have been meditating for 30 years and still nothing happens." And I ask them, "What are you waiting for?" And they always say, "Enlightenment." I laugh because enlightenment is not an event. It is the disappearance of the one waiting for it. The more you wait, the more you postpone it. The very desire to be enlightened becomes the barrier. The universe responds not to your words, but to your state. When you are restless, it mirrors your restlessness. When you are silent, it mirrors your silence. It is not a moral law, it is an energetic one. You get what you are. You see, this is why prayer rarely works. People pray with anxiety, with fear, with desire. Their prayers are poisoned by the very vibration of lack. They say, "God, give me this, give me that," but their very asking says, "I don't have." The universe can only echo what you are. So instead of prayers filled with begging, learn to be silent. Learn to be grateful. Gratitude is prayer without words, and it is powerful because gratitude says, "I have enough." When you stand in gratitude, the universe rushes toward you. You have shifted from scarcity to abundance, from demand to trust. That shift is everything. But you see, trust is dangerous. To trust means to drop control. It means allowing life to move as it wishes, not as you wish. And the ego trembles at this idea. The ego survives through control, through struggle. That's why it loves the chase, because as long as you are chasing, the ego exists. When you stop, the ego dies. Stopping is the death of the ego, and that is why so few people can truly stop. They meditate, but their meditation is another form of running, a subtler, spiritual running. They sit silently, but deep down they are waiting for the reward. They are bargaining with existence. If I meditate enough, life will bless me. But existence does not trade. It gives only when you are not asking. The greatest mystery is that everything begins to flow toward you when you no longer need it, because in that moment you are whole. You are no longer seeking love, you are love. You are no longer chasing peace, you are peace. You are no longer running after God, you are godliness itself. Can you see the paradox? You become what you were chasing only when you stop chasing it. This is the game of existence, the divine play, the Leela. You can either fight it endlessly, or you can laugh and surrender to its rhythm. When you stop running after it, the universe begins to run toward you, because finally, you are not standing in its way. You see, control is the most subtle addiction there is. It hides behind every ambition, every desire, even your prayers. You want to control your destiny, your relationships, even your spiritual growth. And the irony is that the more you try to control life, the more chaotic it becomes. Control is the seed of chaos. Because the one who wants to control does not trust life, and where there is no trust, there can be no harmony. Life is not a machine that follows your commands. It is a mystery that responds to your openness. The moment you relax, the moment you drop this obsession with control, you begin to align with the rhythm of existence. Then everything starts to fall into place, not because you force it, but because you are no longer in the way. Look around. Everything in existence moves effortlessly. The planets do not plan their orbits. The trees do not calculate how to grow. The river does not make maps to reach the ocean. Only man, the so-called intelligent creature, struggles, plans, and fails. You are the only animal who has forgotten how to trust existence, and this forgetting has made you miserable. Trust is not belief. Belief is borrowed. Trust is alive. Belief is from the mind. Trust is from the heart. Belief needs evidence. Trust is content without proof. Belief is taught by society. Trust is born out of silence. When you stop running, you start to feel that silence. And from that silence, trust arises naturally, like fragrance from a flower. But to reach that silence, you must pass through fear. The first thing that happens when you stop is fear, because your whole identity is built on movement, achievement, control. When you suddenly stop, it feels like dying. And in a way, it is. It is the death of the false, the death of the controller, the manipulator, the seeker. And the ego whispers, if you stop, you will lose everything. That voice is the voice of fear. It is not your true voice. It belongs to the dream you call me. The ego survives only through doing, through wanting. The moment you simply are without running after anything, the ego disappears, and that disappearance feels like death to it. But it is not death. It is resurrection. It is rebirth into the real. So yes, stopping is dangerous, but only to the unreal. To what is false in you, stopping is poison. To what is true, stopping is nourishment. When you stop, you don't lose the world. You rediscover it. You begin to see that the universe was never against you. It was waiting for you to be still enough to meet it. The trees were whispering, but your mind was too loud. The stars were calling, but your eyes were too focused on your goals. The universe was trying to give itself to you, but your hands were too full of desires. I am not telling you to renounce the world. Renunciation is another form of running. I am telling you to be in the world, but without chasing. Live, love, act, create, but let it come from fullness, not from hunger. When you act out of fullness, every act becomes a celebration. When you act out of hunger, every act becomes a struggle. You see, the art of living is the art of surrender, and surrender is misunderstood. People think surrender means weakness, defeat, but surrender is not defeat. It is the highest intelligence. Only a fool fights the whole universe. Only a fool believes he can control the tide. The wise man does not fight the river, he flows with it. The river carries him effortlessly because he has dropped his resistance. And when you surrender, you begin to see the miracle. The universe is not separate from you. You are not a guest here. You are part of the host. You are not in the universe. The universe is in you. The same energy that moves the stars moves your heartbeat. The same intelligence that creates galaxies creates your breath. How could you ever be separate? Your running was the illusion of separation. You were chasing what you already were. That's why I say, when you stop running after it, the universe begins to run toward you. Because in truth, it was always you running away from yourself. Have you ever watched a lover chase the beloved in a dream? He runs and runs, but never reaches her. And suddenly, he wakes up, and the beloved is lying beside him. That awakening is what I call meditation. Not chasing the dream anymore, simply waking up to what is already here. When you stop, awakening happens naturally. You do not make it happen. It happens by itself, because the very effort to awaken was keeping you asleep. It is like trying to rest by effort. The more you try, the less it happens. Rest comes only when you stop trying. This is the paradox of existence. Effort creates distance, surrender creates nearness. The universe does not respond to effort, it responds to openness. Try to feel it right now. The silence between my words, the stillness behind your breathing, that is the universe running toward you. You don't need to earn it, deserve it, or beg for it. You only need to be available. And when you are available, everything that is meant for you comes effortlessly. The right people, the right situations, the right moments. You will not need to fight for them. They will find you. Existence is not against you. It is your reflection. You attract what you are, not what you want. When you are empty, you attract fullness. When you are silent, you attract harmony. When you stop running, life starts dancing toward you. Freedom begins the moment you stop running. But people think freedom means having choices. That is not freedom, that is confusion. The more choices you have, the more enslaved you are to the mind that must decide. Real freedom is choiceless awareness, a state where you are so aligned with existence that no choice is needed. Life moves through you spontaneously, and everything happens exactly as it should. When you live in that flow, you do not act out of fear or desire. You act because life acts through you. The river does not choose its direction. It simply flows downhill, trusting gravity. That is freedom. Freedom is not control. Freedom is surrender. When I tell you to stop running, I am not saying become inactive. I am saying let your action come from silence, not from struggle. Let your doing arise from being. Most people do, and then hope one day they will finally be. But that day never comes because being is the source, not the result. The truly awakened man reverses the order. He first is, and then whatever he does becomes graceful, effortless, complete. Look at a dancer when he is lost in his movement. There is no dancer left as an only dance. Look at a musician when he is completely absorbed. He is not playing the music is playing him. In those rare moments they have stopped running. That is why art has always been close to meditation. It is an unconscious glimpse of surrender. But what I am talking about is conscious surrender, living every moment in that total letting go. And when you do, you realize the universe was never something outside of you. You are not supposed to conquer it, but to remember that you are it. That remembrance is liberation, but the mind resists. The mind says, if I stop, I will be nobody. Exactly. That's the point. When you are nobody, you become one with the whole. The drop that falls into the ocean does not lose itself. It becomes the ocean. To the mind, that looks like death. To consciousness, it is the ultimate joy. This is why people are so afraid of silence, of stillness. Because silence kills the illusion of the self. You live your entire life protecting this illusion, decorating it, defending it, defining it. You call it your identity, but it is nothing more than a collection of memories, desires, fears. When you stop running, that identity begins to dissolve. It is terrifying because you have mistaken the cage for safety. The cage of identity feels familiar, and you think without it, you will be lost. But outside the cage, the sky is infinite. To live without the false center is to live without walls. You are open to everything. The wind, the sun, the laughter, the pain. You are available to existence as it is. And in that openness, something divine begins to breathe through you. You are no longer living life. Life is living you. Have you noticed how tired you are from all your effort? The constant striving, proving, improving. You have turned life into a competition with others, with time, with yourself. That exhaustion you feel is not physical. It is spiritual fatigue. Because running after illusions drains your being. The mind is like a treadmill. It keeps you moving but takes you nowhere. Stop. Just stop for a moment. Feel the stillness that follows. That stillness is not emptiness, it is fullness disguised as nothing. Out of that stillness, clarity arises. Out of that silence, true creativity is born. When you live in harmony with the universe, You begin to see beauty everywhere, even in chaos, even in pain. Because now you understand, everything that happens is part of the same dance. There is no need to resist. The storm is also part of the balance. The darkness gives depth to the light. The endings make beginnings possible. And when you trust this, fear disappears. You stop asking, "Oh, why is this happening to me?" and begin to whisper, "What is life showing me?" You stop being a victim and become a participant. You begin to move with the current of life, not against it. This is what I call divine intelligence, not intellect, but a deep intuitive knowing that everything unfolds perfectly. That intelligence only awakens when the noise of your mind subsides. When you stop interfering, existence begins to reveal its design through you. You have been running for lifetimes. You have been chasing name, fame, wealth, power, enlightenment, and still you feel incomplete. How much more running will it take for you to realize that the road never ends? The finish line appears only when the race ends, not when you reach it. Stopping is the ultimate rebellion, because society wants you to keep running. It feeds on your dissatisfaction. The moment you stop, you become free from the machinery of ambition. You cannot be manipulated, because you no longer seek approval. You are content, you are whole, and a whole human being cannot be controlled. That is why enlightened people are dangerous, not because they fight the system, but because they no longer belong to it. They live according to a higher law, the law of existence, and that is where the universe begins to run toward you, because when you drop resistance, you vibrate in tune with it. Suddenly, life cooperates. Things begin to align in mysterious ways. What you once called coincidence becomes constant. Synchronicity arises, the language of existence whispering, "Welcome home." When you stop running, life stops hiding. It was never against you. It was waiting for you to be quiet enough to see its face. The moment you stop running, a deep silence descends. It is not the silence of death, it is the silence of life at its peak. In that silence you begin to feel a pulse, the heartbeat of existence itself. It has always been there, but you were too noisy to hear it. You were shouting your desires to the heavens, demanding answers, and the universe was whispering, "Be still and know." When you stop, you begin to know, not through thoughts, not through books, not through teachings, but through being. Knowing becomes a fragrance, not an idea. It spreads through you, touches everything you see. The same trees look different, the same faces glow differently, because now you are no longer seeing through the fog of desire. In that state you realize something astonishing. Life was never withholding anything from you. It was your own grasping that kept you empty. You were holding your hands so tightly around what you wanted that you couldn't receive what was already yours. Now your hands are open and everything starts pouring in. But do not think of this as a reward. The universe is not a banker giving interest for your patience. It is not responding to your worthiness. It is simply responding to your alignment. You are finally in harmony with the way existence moves, and in harmony, abundance flows naturally. People come to me and say, "Osho, when will the universe help me manifest my desires?" And I laugh, because the universe is not your servant. You cannot manipulate existence with positive thinking or clever affirmations. You can only align with it, and alignment happens when you are empty, when you are silent, when you are not running after anything. Then the universe manifests itself through you. You become its expression, and that is far greater than any personal dream you could chase. Because personal dreams are small, the dream of the whole is vast, infinite, cosmic. When you are aligned, you no longer live your life. Existence lives through you. You become the dance, not the dancer. Understand this. What you call destiny is not written somewhere in the sky. Destiny is created moment to moment through your state of being. If you are restless, life mirrors restlessness. If you are at peace, life mirrors peace. If you are silent, life echoes silence. That is the law. You are the source of everything you experience. So when you stop running, you take responsibility, not for controlling life, but for your own vibration. And once you take that responsibility, you become powerful in a completely different way. Not the power of domination, but the power of presence. Your very presence begins to shift the energy around you. People feel calmer near you, more real, more alive, because you have stopped chasing shadows. To stop running is to come home. Home is not a place, it is a state of being. It is the moment when you realize you were never lost. You were always here, but your attention was elsewhere. You were busy building castles in the air, while the kingdom of heaven was within you. When you stop, you see that heaven was not something to be reached. It was something to be remembered. Then a new kind of movement begins. Not the restless movement of the ego, but the graceful flow of existence. You still walk, you still act, but now every gesture is complete in itself. There is no goal beyond it. Drinking water becomes meditation. Breathing becomes prayer. Silence becomes music. You are no longer chasing meaning. Everything becomes meaningful. This is the paradox of enlightenment. When you stop seeking, you find. When you stop desiring, fulfillment happens. When you stop asking, answers appear. When you stop running, the universe begins to run toward you. Because you and the universe were never two. To live this truth is to live in freedom. It does not mean life becomes easy. Storms will still come, pain will still visit, losses will still happen. But now nothing can shake your center. You move through life like the sky moves through weather, untouched, vast, unafraid. And remember, you don't have to reach this all at once. Just stop for a moment, right now. Feel your breath. Watch your mind running, and don't run with it. Simply see. Awareness is the first step, and the last. Because in awareness, running becomes impossible. The moment you are aware, the chase ends. The seeker dissolves, and what remains is truth, alive, radiant, effortless. So the next time you find yourself chasing something, love, success, peace, stop and ask, what am I really running from? And you will see you are running from the present, from yourself, from the silence that is always here. The journey was never about reaching somewhere. It was about realizing there was nowhere to go. You are already it. You are what you were seeking. Let this truth sink deep into you. When you stop running after it, the universe begins to run toward you. Not because you have earned it, but because you have finally stopped standing in its way. Now, be still. Let life approach you. Let existence embrace you. You don't have to chase. Just be available. And as you sit in that stillness, remember, this moment, right now, is the universe running toward you. The wind touching your face, the sound around you, the beating of your heart, it is all existence saying, welcome home. If this truth has touched you, don't just agree with it, live it. Stop chasing and see what happens. Let the universe show you what it can do when you are no longer trying to control it. Because the miracle begins, not when you run, but when you stop. If these words resonated with something deep within you, take a moment to breathe, reflect, and share what you felt. Speak from your silence, not your mind, and if you wish to keep walking this path of awareness, stay connected, not to learn but to remember. Life is waiting to meet you halfway. Just stop running.